You've been showing up, you're not skipping sessions, you're eating decent, and the weight on the bar just will not move. That's a gym plateau, and if you've been lifting longer than a few months, you've already met it, or you're about to. Here's the good news right away. A plateau is not proof that you've maxed out your genetics, and it's definitely not proof that something is broken inside you. It almost always comes down to a small handful of fixable things. And once you know exactly what to look for, breaking out of it is honestly more boring than people make it sound. No magic supplement, no secret program, just a few honest adjustments that most lifters overlook simply because they're too close to their own routine to see the pattern. Let's start with what a gym plateau actually is, because a lot of people get scared by the word without understanding what's really happening. A gym plateau is simply a stretch of time, usually a few weeks to a couple of months, where your lifts stop going up, your reps stop increasing, and the mirror stops changing even though your effort clearly hasn't dropped off. It is not laziness, and it is not you just being one of those people who can't build muscle. Here's the deeper truth. Your body is a machine built to adapt, and then stop wasting energy once it has adapted. Think back to the very first time you did squats. Your legs were probably sore for 3 days straight because your body had never dealt with that specific type of stress before. Now do that same exact workout for 6 months in a row, and eventually your body figures out exactly how to handle it with the least amount of effort possible. That's adaptation working exactly as it's designed to. The problem is, it's no longer working in your favor. And this is the single most common reason people feel stuck, even though they're technically still training hard every single week. Here's something almost nobody tells beginners. Nearly every lifter who has been doing this for more than a year has already hit 2, 3, sometimes 5 separate plateaus. The real difference between someone who keeps making progress for a decade and someone who quietly gives up after year 2 usually isn't genetics at all. It's simply knowing what to do the moment things stall. So let's get into the real reasons your gains actually stalled. Before you go changing anything, it helps enormously to know which of these is really your specific problem. Most lifters have one, sometimes two, hiding in plain sight, and they rarely notice until they actually stop and take an honest look. Reason number 1, and by far the most common, you stopped progressing the weight. This is the number 1 culprit, hands down, no contest. A lot of people go to the gym, do their sets, feel tired afterward, and call it a good session. But feeling tired and progressively overloading your muscles are simply not the same thing. If you're lifting the same 135 pounds for the same 3 sets of 10 that you did 2 months ago, your body has absolutely nothing new to adapt to. No new stimulus means no new growth. It doesn't matter how hard those sets feel in the moment if the actual number on the bar hasn't budged in weeks. Reason number 2, you're not eating enough or you're not recovering enough. Muscle isn't built in the gym. It's built during recovery. If you're sitting in a calorie deficit, skimping on protein, or running on 5 hours of sleep a night, your body simply does not have the raw resources it needs to repair and grow. You can have the best training program on paper and still stall out completely because your body is too busy just keeping the lights on to prioritize building new tissue. A lot of people chasing a leaner look end up eating so little that they can't actually build anything, and then they wonder why their strength went flat right alongside their body weight. Reason number 3, same program, same results. Doing the exact same routine for a year straight, with zero variation in rep ranges, exercise selection, or intensity, is basically asking your body to master one very specific task, and then being surprised when it won't get better at a different one. Your muscles adapt to the specific demand you place on them, not to the vague concept of working out in general. If your program hasn't meaningfully changed since last spring, that alone could be the entire story behind your plateau. Reason number 4, and this one is sneaky. Your form broke down without you even noticing. As lifts get heavier over time, it becomes tempting to let your range of motion shrink a little, or let momentum quietly do some of the work for you. Your ego thinks you're still progressing because the number on the bar went up. But if your squat depth got shallower, or your rows turned into a swinging mess, you're not actually training the muscle the same way you used to. Filming a set every couple of weeks is honestly the easiest way to catch this before it snowballs into a real problem. Now, let's talk about how to actually break through a gym plateau without burning yourself out in the process. Here's exactly where a lot of people go wrong. They panic, and they change everything all at once. New split, new diet, new supplements, new everything. That approach makes it completely impossible to know what actually worked. Instead, change one thing, give it a few honest weeks, and pay attention to the results. First, change one variable at a time. Pick the thing that's most likely broken based on everything we just covered. If your weights genuinely haven't moved, focus purely on adding small amounts of weight or one extra rep every week or two, even if that's just 2.5 pounds at a time. If recovery is the real issue, fix your sleep and your protein intake before you touch your training program at all. One change, tracked honestly, beats 5 changes you can never untangle later. Second, take a deload week on purpose. This one feels backwards, but sometimes the fastest way forward is to intentionally back off. A deload week, where you drop your training volume or intensity by roughly 40 to 50% for 7 days, gives your joints, your nervous system, and your connective tissue a real chance to catch up. Plenty of lifters come back from a deload hitting personal records they couldn't touch the week before, simply because they weren't beat up anymore. Third, try a different rep range for a few weeks. If you've been living in the 8 to 12 rep range forever, spend a month lifting heavier for 3 to 5 reps or lighter for 15 to 20. Different rep ranges challenge your muscles and your nervous system in slightly different ways, and that novelty alone is sometimes enough to kickstart progress again once you eventually go back to your normal range. Fourth, prioritize your actual weak points. Sometimes a plateau on one specific lift is actually caused by a weak link somewhere else entirely. A stalled bench press might come down to weak triceps or an unstable shoulder, not a weak chest at all. Spend a few weeks giving extra direct work to the muscles that support your main lifts, and watch the numbers on those main lifts start moving again almost as a side effect. Fifth, track everything for 2 full weeks. Write down your sets, your reps, and your weight for every single session, no exceptions. Most people genuinely believe they're progressing when they're actually doing the exact same workout on autopilot. A simple notes app, or even a cheap paper notebook, will show you the truth in black and white. And that truth is usually the fastest path out of a plateau you've ever tried. Let's talk about how long plateaus usually last, because this matters for your patience and your sanity. If you make one solid change and stay consistent with it, most plateaus start breaking within 2 to 4 weeks. Strength and muscle gain isn't linear. Some weeks you'll add weight, other weeks you'll simply hold steady, and both of those outcomes are completely normal. The problem only becomes a real plateau if literally nothing has moved for 6 to 8 weeks straight, despite consistent effort, decent sleep, and enough food. And while you're waiting for the scale or the bar to move, pay close attention to the signals that don't show up as a bigger number. Are your normal working sets starting to feel just a little lighter, even at the exact same weight? Is your recovery between sessions noticeably faster than it was a month ago? Small internal shifts like these often show up weeks before the actual number on the bar catches up, and they're a genuinely good sign that your change is working, even if it doesn't feel that way yet. One more important thing worth mentioning. Sometimes, what feels like a plateau is actually just realistic progress after your first year or two of serious training. Beginner gains are fast because your body has so much room to adapt in those early months. Once you've built a solid base, adding 5 pounds to your squat over 2 full months is still real, meaningful progress. It just doesn't feel as exciting as the newbie gains you started out with. Don't compare your month 18 progress to your month to progress. They were never going to look the same, and honestly, that's a good thing. It means you've actually built something worth maintaining long term. So here's the bottom line. A gym plateau isn't a wall. It's a signal that something in your training, your eating, or your recovery needs a small, honest adjustment. Figure out which one is actually the problem. Change it. Give your body a few real weeks to respond, and keep showing up in the meantime. That's really the whole trick behind breaking through every single time.